Where are you from?
Santa Rosa, California.
What was your first break?
First break? As in?
As a musician.
I started playing violin when I was 4, and I played Carnegie Hall when I was 14.
What would you consider your most exciting performance?
Playing at a castle in Italy I was playing with Edward Sharpe at the time, but it was pretty exciting.
How do you feel about this career?
I don't really look at it as a career. It's more like there's no separation between my real life and existing and making music and art and things, but it's probably not as comfortable as some choices of ways to live. Like if I had a normal job and maybe had like just anything normal, like a husband and children or something, it would be a little easier on the basic needs front. Like knowing where I was going to live and what car I'm going to drive and how to pay my bills and things like that. So in that way, this is a more challenging lifestyle, but this is what I do. So
how did you decide to become a musician?
I had never made that decision. I think my parents maybe decided for me when they gave me a violin when I was 4, but then after that I just sort of continually never did anything else. Like I've had strong desires to do other things. Like I have always been interested in architecture and I thought about going to school for that at some point, but what I really love to do is just like make music and draw and just kind of like just create things constantly. So that's what I've been fortunate enough to be able to do, and I've done many other things to support myself like throughout that time, but yeah.
How would you describe your specialty or style?
I don't know, my style changes a lot. Like on the daily. My specialty, I don't really understand exactly the question.
Who's your favorite musician who you look up to?
Patti Smith.
What would your ideal job be?
Ooh. I would love to be Secretary of State if I had nothing to do with music. That would be my ideal job.
Do you consider yourself to be lucky?
No, but I consider myself to be very blessed.
What advantages do you have?
Well, I was born in America, and I am able to really kind of choose whatever I want to do. Not that you can't do that in other parts of the world, but I was born into a family that was able to take care of me and loves me, and I've never had to worry about food on the table or not being able to do what I wanted, so I feel very fortunate in that way, for sure.
Would you rather have a car or a diploma?
I think, probably a diploma, because I think it would get me more places than a car would in the modern day, but having a car is nice too, so it would just depend on the situation.
What do you think about the need for instant gratification?
I think we probably, like, as human beings, we have always wanted that. Like, when we found ways to make that easier now with technology, we can literally instantly be gratified by something, and that's really nice sometimes. Like, it can like benefit all of us to have that. If we're hungry, we want food immediately, so we call someone and it shows up at our door 20 minutes later. But I think it has removed our ability to imagine things and has taken away like the beauty of imagination, because sometimes when you can't have something, you imagine it, and you sort of like you dream about something, and then that spills over into creation, and that spills over into like ingenuity and like having to create things for yourself, like happiness, which that really only comes from like internally, that can't come from all these tiny little instant gratifications. So I think they're great if we can keep them in check, but that's a challenge in and of itself, for me anyway.
How do you feel about how interconnected the world is becoming?
I don't know. It's something like, I think it's really incredible how we know what's going on globally, like all over the world now. But I don't exactly know what that means. I don't really know what that means to you or I, just like connecting here together right now. I think it's incredibly important to become aware of all these things that are happening, and we can empathize with each other from afar, which is incredible. So in that way, it's such a good thing. We know about, like global problems and things that are happening all across the world, so we can help each other. But then that also creates, many different issues and problems, because we're not able to really focus on our own relationships with people. And then, and if we can't take care of that, if we can't take care of ourselves or like the people that are closest to us, we're definitely not going to be able to fix anything globally, So I don't know if that answers that question at all, but
What does the future look like to you?
for me personally, well, I'm working on another album, and probably just more of the same, like a lot of traveling next year, and getting into the studio and recording. And I don't exactly know what's going to happen in the next 6 months, but I definitely have a strong idea of where it's going, so we'll see.
How do you feel about having children?
I would like to have a child or two someday. I'm from a big family. I'm the oldest of 6 kids, so I have a 14-year-old brother, so I don't feel like I need to procreate immediately, but I would definitely like to someday have a child. I think it's especially talking to my mom and just my friends who have had children, they all say that there's nothing like that experience. So I would love to have that before I die, for sure.
What challenges do you feel the world is facing today?
I think that's such a tough question to answer, just because of the recent events that have been happening. But I do believe that there is a very strong, dark undercurrent happening right now. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's also, out of that, there's light is being shed on like what is beautiful, and what and like love between people. And I think that if we can truly focus on that, especially our generation, that that's the challenge, is not to give in to like whatever this like dark energy is of materialism and material gain and money and popularity and all this bullshit that really does not mean anything, but love means everything, and that's also a current in the world. So I think it's just, I feel challenged in this day and age to like stay true to that, and stay true to things that have always mattered and will continue to matter, which is integrity and depth and character and light in the world, which still exists in a massive way, but it's definitely challenging. I'm sure it has been all throughout time, but especially right now.
What is your favorite way to communicate?
Through letter writing, I think, or like notes, more than text, and more than sometimes in person. It's easier.
What do you think of the creative scene in Los Angeles?
I think it's fucking awesome. Like, people, I love it here. I didn't really love it when I first moved here a year ago, but I didn't understand what was happening, but people are truly generating things here. Like, people have dreams and ideas, and they turn into realities here, which is incredible to me. I know, like, so many of all of my friends, I feel like are in the arts, or in some form or fashion, and visual arts. And I have a friend who's a photographer, and he was just showing me some of his work last night, and he's been on this sort of creative journey with his own art, and I just see it like materializing more and more and more. And now, a year ago he was talking about it, now he's got a big show happening, and now I'm going to see it, and it's just like that happens every day, and I feel like we're all sort of pushing each other, and it's an infectious energy, and I love that about here, for sure.
What is your favorite book, film, and music right now?
My favorite book, I just read The Unbearable Lightness of Being again. I've read that a couple of times, by Milan Kundera, and I think I'm saying his name right. That's one of my favorite books. And did you ask movies?
Mm-hmm.
Favorite movies. I really love The Graduate. I've watched that a lot again lately. I usually find a movie that I like and come back and watch it like 100 times. And there's another movie that Contempt. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
And music?
Music, lately I've been listening to a lot of Patti Smith, and Patti Smith lately.